Hey, this is Zena, in with you in the fight back. Today, per my friend Andrew, we're going to be doing talk about some Star Trek characters that we both like, and it's actually a top 10 list. As you can see, I've been doing some Star Trek reviews rather steadily over the past few weeks. There's a bunch more coming. Just give me some time here. I do have a life beyond YouTube as well. But we got top 10 Star Trek characters, so why don't you get us started, and we'll go
Okay.
from there.
Just to let you guys know, if you enjoy this, you can go on my channel. We did a top 10 Star Wars characters thing. First thing I'm going to say before I give you my list, my number 10, but there's two things. One is you guys are probably going to hate me because there's going to be one or two characters on there that you're going to go, really? Really? That person? Number two is mine is incredibly biased towards one particular show, Next Generation. Not to say that there isn't characters from other shows, it's Next Gen, it's the best. So let's get into it. Number 10 for me is Guinan. I know, such a minor supporting character, but I think the reason why I like Guinan so much is that she's kind of like the X Factor there. Her interactions with Picard is fun. I mean, it's like the only person that really can stand up to Picard. I mean, she just walks into his quarters. She just walks in. What is that? She just walks into his ready room, and he allows it. Guinan is just a unique character, and Whoopi Goldberg did a good job at doing the character too. Not a really big character, but I don't know. She always stuck with me. I always liked her. So, like I said, there'd be people on this list you may not like. Your turn.
Well, Q. John Delancey made Q. He made him such a great, fun villain. Even those crappy first season Next Generation episodes, you know, they're worth watching just to see him in it.
Mm-hmm.
And Q, we get many facets of Q. We get Q who becomes human, Q just screwing around, Q showing the Federation the Borg, and even at least one of his appearances on Voyager, kind of made that episode worth watching. The others not so much.
Yeah.
But Q's just a great fun villain. He's like the Loki, the trickster, the trickster god. And he's a fun guy. I love Q.
Yeah. He's like the devil. He tempts you. Next for me on number 9 for my list would be Reboot Kirk. I'm not a big fan of the original series. I have to say I did like the reboot. The movie itself was okay. The characters are more that made the movie. I have to say it was a really good Star Wars movie, and the key word I used there was Star Wars. It was an action flick. It wasn't really trekking. It was better than the prequel Star Wars. But the one thing I liked there was I liked Kirk there. I liked the actor that played him. I'm going to get smited by a lot of people, but I never really cared for William Shatner as Kirk. Going around in talking like this all the time. It was God. The only time I really liked William Shatner's Kirk was in the movies themselves, but the actual TV show I didn't really care for it. But the reboot Kirk, he's like, this is a really bad analogy, but he is the Han Solo of Star Trek. He really is. And I like him. I thought he was charming. I thought he was interesting. I thought he had a good look to him. And, he had that rebellious side. So, reboot Kirk. And that's the only reboot that's going to be on this.
All right, mine is a tie, and it contains my only Voyager character on this, and it's the Doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is Spock. We all know who Spock is, the Vulcan first officer in the original series, but he gives us this great commentary on humanity, and, you all have seen Spock, you know how cool he is, and for the Doctor, he really was probably the best thing about Star Trek Voyager, and he really grew over time. Instead of like this kind of stuck-up, stodgy character, he really grew and became like a nice member of the crew. He was doing things. He could leave the sick bay, and he had really great banter with a lot of the crew members. And I was originally going to have 7 of 9, but I really like the Doctor just so much better because I think Robert Picardo just actually did a good job with him.
I just saw him on the Wonder Years as the gym coach.
I'll have to
Right
check
now.
that out.
Anyways, here it comes. At number 8, Deanna Troy.
What?
What? You guys are probably saying, Andrew, why do you like Deanna Troy?
Yeah,
And
why do you like
I
Deanna
answer this
Troi?
way. I don't know. She's useless. I mean, the only reason why she's on the bridge is because she's within blowjob range of the captain chair. She doesn't have any experience as an officer. Why do I like her? I honestly can't tell you. Maybe the performance was good. I'm not gonna lie, this isn't a joke. I like Deanna Troy. I will admit she's an utterly useless character, but she's not offensive like Wesley Crusher.
Yeah, okay, I
I
hear
mean,
that.
and she's not psychotic like Janeway. She's just there, but I don't know. Maybe it was the performance. Maybe it's just because the interactions with certain characters. I mean, the one thing I can say is she does give Picard sometimes a little bit more of a human side. But I mean, as a character on whole, I don't know why she's on there. I just like her. I'm not gonna defend it because she really isn't that good, but I enjoy her. I mean, please take it
Okay,
out.
well, going from the useless to Kira Nerys, Deep Space Nine's first officer, and she was a former resistance fighter, guerrilla warrior against the Cardassian occupation of her planet. And once Bajor is liberated, she becomes the liaison officer with the Federation. She's got great interactions with Sisko and the other crew. She's really strong-willed, independent. And although she really hates Cardassians, you really see her develop some really interesting relations with the Cardassians throughout the show. She likes some of them. She hates Dukat with good reason. And you see her grow in relationship wise. You see her mature, and at the very end of the show, you see her helping to lead Cardassians to liberate their own home planet. And she's just a great, fiercely independent character. Originally, they were gonna have Ro Laren be on the show, but they ended up creating Kira Nerys, and thankfully, it really worked out. She was just a great, great character.
Excuse me. My number 7, the original Spock. What can I say? It's Spock. I mean, he's an interesting character, interesting methodology, using logic to solve all the answers. It's just Spock. I can't really say more. I mean, he's probably the one character, other than Deanna Troi, I really can't explain why he's on the list. Other than just Spock, he's fun. So please, just take it on.
Data. I love Data. He provides, I think, in a way that went beyond Spock in commentary on humanity and its experiences, because Spock was half human, so he could experience emotions, but he was intentionally not embracing
All Vulcans experience emotions,
but he's
they
also
repress it.
Yeah, but with Data, it was just he's completely
Void
an
of
artificial
all,
life form, but he really grows throughout the series, and just his questions, that it helps show that Star Trek at one point before Voyager and Enterprise, they could pose questions about the human condition, and Data really did that in a great way throughout the series.
Agreed. Okay, coming in at number 6, the only Voyager character on this list, 7 and 9. And no, it's not because of her implants.
That's insulting.
Yeah. No, it's 7 and 9 is, the reason why I put 7 and 9 on this is out of all the Voyager crew, even more so than Doctor, is she actually has a character arc. Her character actually grows. And you can say that the Doctor leaves the sickbay, but he really doesn't grow as a character. He's still the witty character that he is. For the most part.
He really wasn't originally, but I can see what you mean.
Yeah. Well, okay. Out of the real people, though, I mean, Harry Kim's still Harry Kim. Tom Paris is still Tom Paris. They're all the same. 7 actually grows. It's not quite as much as I would like, but she's an interesting character. She has a unique concept, a good look, a good personality. It's a more humanized version of Spock or Data, but it's one that works. And that I use that term very loosely because it was a bad analogy, but it's kind of what it is. And 7 and 9 is just fun. I mean, what can I say?
I'll say this about 7 and 9. I had a lot of trouble. She was originally number 10 on my list, but I bumped her down to 11.
Oh, wow. The good thing we're only doing a top 10.
So number 6 is actually Khan.
God!
Yeah, if you watch the original episode Space Seed, he's this real calm, collective guy. And then in Star Trek 2, he's just obsessed with revenge, but he's just played so well in that. And it's not just like some idiotic action sequence that you get in, say, Star Trek Nemesis, but it's real calm, collective. But he gets unhinged by it, and Kirk's really able to push his buttons, and he helps make that movie such an epic event that it ended up being, and still, in my opinion, the best of all the Star Trek films. Number 2.
Okay, coming at number 5 is Q. For most of the reasons why he said, Q's kind of like Loki. He tricks around, he tests people. One of the things I like about Q is he's actually a character that slightly grows throughout the series. He kind of views, I think that was me. I got a text message from living room. Spencer's here, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, he's a character that kind of grows because he kind of sees humanity as a lower life form. And then through his interactions with Picard and also the crew, but more so Picard, he kind of has a respect. Not so much an equality view, but a respectful view of the human race. And I mean, he's just funny as hell. My favorite quote of what is it? Q. My two favorite quotes is one when he appears naked floating and goes, "Red alert." One sec. Doing a video, so one sec. And then the other one is when he's pretending to be God, and Picard goes, "You're God? I could never believe that you could be God. That the universe would be so screwed up." He goes, "That's blasphemy! I should smite you where you stand." But yes, that's my number 5 is Q.
All right, number 5 for me is probably my favorite villain that Star Trek has ever produced, and that's Gul Dukat. The former prefect of Bajor. He was just so complex. He's charming. He can be a scumbag. He can do the right thing. He just makes an incredibly complex villain. I think he kind of goes off the rails towards the end of Season 6 into Season 7 of Deep Space Nine. But Mark Alaimo plays Gul Dukat so well that half the time I'm rooting for him, even though I think he's a horrendous, well, not human being, Cardassian. But I just love watching this guy because you're never quite sure. Like, he lies willingly. He's willing to manipulate things. And even when he does the right thing, you're not sure, is he actually doing the right thing or is it because he wants to do the right thing, or is it because he just wants to promote himself? And I'm never sure half the time with this man. But he just put some of the great performances with him, like Waltz and Return to Grace, and it just makes Dukat such a fascinating villain to watch.
Okay, moving on. My number 4 would be Worf. I'm a big, I'm a martial artist, so I'm big into concept of honor, and I love Worf in that concept that he is a person that's very torn between two worlds. You have the Federation, you have the Klingons, and Worf believes so heavily in the Klingon ideals, but he doesn't actually believe in the people behind these Klingon ideals because they're corrupt. And they're like Gowron. I mean, as much as Gowron's an okay leader, he's a corrupt leader. And the Klingons on the whole are corrupt. They're bloodthirsty. They want war. But Worf believes in the honor aspect, the actual traditions of the Klingons. And he's torn between his Klingon honor and his heritage and his duty to Starfleet. Because Starfleet embodies kind of that aspect that the Klingon Empire is missing, at least for Worf's point of view. And he really is getting torn between those two worlds, and I find it fascinating how he's trying to cope with that. Because you see him switch sides a few times. I don't know if switching sides would be the term, because they're
straddles them. I was just going to say, for Worf, towards the end of Deep Space Nine, Martok, who had inducted Worf into his house, becomes leader of the Empire, and Worf respects Martok a great deal. So in a sense, it's almost reconciled there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think as his story arc as a character, he's a character that's very torn, and eventually he finds that balance. Okay, who is texting me?
But
first you and then someone else. Hold on. Okay, sorry.
Worf, in general, I thought he was handled much more well in Deep Space Nine, just because we also had more interactions with him and Klingons. And at least early on in Next Generation, he was kind of presented as a moron.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, really, he was going to shoot the view screen at one point. I mean, how stupid.
Yeah, I mean, but that goes without saying that season 1 and 2 of The Next Generation just wasn't good. But, yeah, so that's my number 4 is Worf. I just like him. He's a cool character.
Yeah. For me, it's actually Captain Kirk. And I really... Well, when I was a kid, I loved Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk has more STDs than Dick Grayson. That's
wrong.
Saying a lot.
That is so wrong. But I was just going to say...
He has more...
Okay, well, Captain Kirk is... that's still wrong. Captain Kirk is just a great rule bender, and... we get some fairly cool performances from him. Like in Star Trek 2, like I agree with you. William Shatner is not the greatest actor, but I did like Star Trek 2 regardless, and I like Star Trek 6. And a bunch of the original series episodes were pretty cool too. And Kirk it's almost for nostalgia for me, but I still like Captain Kirk.
Okay. Coming in at number 3 for me is Data. For basically the same reasons he said. I just want to make a comment that I like Data more without his emotional chip than with his emotion chip. Because, that's what made the character... It's not about the goal, it's about the strive for the goal. So yeah, I can't really say more about Data than he's already said.
hmm I was gonna say for me, Captain Cisco.
The Cisco.
I love Deep Space Nine. Cisco is definitely someone who an administrator. He's the type of person who has to keep the Federation in place, and we definitely see him make all these compromises. We get some great performances from Avery Brooks in Pale of the Moonlight for the uniform. I really like Cisco, and he's just got many facets to him. You know, sometimes he's a great father, he's a great leader, but he definitely operates in a shade of gray.
Okay. Next is, for me, number 2 would be Riker. Why? Because he's Riker. Riker's not the most developed character out there, but he's probably one of the more stable ones. Riker's just, he's a playboy kind of. He's kind of a hot shot too, but he's very much the commander of the group. He is by the book for the most part. I mean, he's a fun character. I mean, okay, he's almost as bad as Kirk when it comes down to women. Actually, didn't he try to hook up with a species that didn't know what gender it was? Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
that was actually a really good episode.
It was a good episode, but that just shows you Riker has no problem with it. It could be a wooden table for all he cares. It's Riker, but Riker's just a good character. He I think he's also a character that weighs heavy with his duty and also with who he is as a person. And I like how his story arc kind of went. I mean, he may not have been the most in-depth character, but he was fun. My favorite episode was a Riker episode, and that was Best of Both Worlds. As much as you may think that's a Picard episode, it's really a Riker episode and him struggling with having to step up and be the man. Which, I mean, no one can really be the Picard. But, I mean, be the man. Next.
I was just gonna say for some of the times, like Star Trek, you can see this, especially in the original series, but it was kind of coming back towards the end of the TV shows. They really kind of ditched respect for women.
They did.
Out the window.
We were just watching a video and they just sang.
It's kind of like, you can't do that. But for me, number 2, Riker's pretty cool, but Elam Garak.
No,
I love Elam Garak.
I can go watch a movie right now.
You
the
can,
amount that you
I
can
love
talk.
Garak. He's just like,
I'll be right back.
I can never tell if he's good, bad. I get some great performances from Andrew Robinson, and he's such a. I love his banter with Bashir. Odo, Cisco. If you want to, you can watch my review of The Wire to get my favorite episode of Deep Space Nine, which has Derek in it. But I'll stop there.
I don't really have to have my list to tell you who number 1 is.
Nor do I.
I think we all know who number 1 is. Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS NCC 1701D Enterprise, or E, or the Stargazer, or whatever the hell he wants to fly, because he is Picard. What can I really say about Picard other than he's cultured, he's a diplomat, he is a well-refined individual, he's decisive, he stays calm and collective, and he's a freaking man. I have to say, pound for pound, my favorite Picard episode has to be Darmok. It was a good episode. It showed how Picard handles situations on his own, and it really was a situation as people don't know how to handle things. I mean, this is a culture that speaks through metaphor.
Yeah.
It may not have been his best character-driven episode. I mean, Tapestry could be a little bit better in that sense.
That is pretty good.
But, I mean, Picard is just a great character. What can I say? He's the good guy version of Grand Admiral Thrawn.
I was going to say for Picard, I love Best of Both Worlds. Family was pretty good, at least the Picard part.
The Inner Light was
The
really
Inner
good.
Light.
Oh, yes.
Drumhead, where they have the McCarthy-style witch hunts. And probably my favorite, actually, is Chain of Command Part 2.
There is 4 lights!
I mean, that is just an incredible sequence there.
5. Oh.
And Patrick Stewart just played it so damn well. And I swear to God, that man does not age.
No, Patrick Stewart and Sean Connery stop at the age of 50.
So, but seriously, Captain Picard, he really helped bring Next Generation over the top. And, what else can you say? It's just Patrick Stewart.
Exactly. I mean, I could go on for days about how great Jean-Luc Picard is, but I'm not going to because...
He's getting dreamy out of it.
Yeah, I am. So anyways, with that said, I guess you can finish up.
All right, this is Ina. Until next time.
This is Andrew saying peace out for now.